present here in the Montebello ballroom. We are officially holding the National Council meeting. To please occupy their seats. Please occupy their seats. More particularly, the members of the National Council. Please sit in front. Members of the party who are not, just remind you that only members of the National Council can actively participate in the discussion. Party members who are not members of the National Council can observe.
Para sa tunay na pagbabago. Masdan mo ang paligid, palamak mga krimen.
Ipagkilang kayo hanggang ngayon na kunas.
Mga nakawan.
Siya mother, paano ba yun? Birthday ni Mami, March 6, 1950. Si Daddy. Di ba Mami?
Hawak kamay tayo para sa pagkasenso.
54 si Daddy. Si Mami.
Tayong lahat kay Rodrigo.
Hindi, sige. Ako isa akin na.
Para sa pinapagbabago.
Sila nag-aayos naman. Doon tayo din. Kung mabala sa lahat.
Ang tanong is, kung bakit bayan na ay gusto na tumakbo siya bilang pangalawang pangulo ng ating bansa. Ayan.
Officers of PDP-Laban are present here today to occupy the presidential table. We have Secretary of the Department of Energy, with also the Vice Chairman of PDP-Laban. We have Secretary Mike Silvino, the Presidential Assistant for the Visayas. He's occupied the also Cabinet Secretary Carlo Alexis Morales, who occupy the presidential table. We have Governor Gwen Garcia of Cebu, and we have other members of the National Council, the party officials, National Party officials.
For tonight, yan natin, ibigay lang natin yung manifesto of our support to the chairman of the party, the president. Ikayong echo or you can really make the people feel that PDP is there working and supporting the efforts of the president.
Never in the history of our country has a president on his last quarter garnered a 91%. Never. So if you want continuity, yung 91% na yun, sigurado. Yung sino po ang ulo, sigurado basta may Duterte, mananalo po yan.
Tayo na Pilipinas, tayo na nagbago. Hawak kamay tayo para sa pagkasenso. Ikaw at ako, tayong lahat kay Rodrigo. Duterte, para sa tunay na pagbabago. Ikaw at ako, tayong lahat kay Rodrigo.
For the President to continue his leadership, malaking tulong ko yun ang pagkapato. Ang feeling ng mga tao is you feel safe, no? With the President around. Kahit ito tatapos as Vice President, parang nandoon pa rin yung, okay, nandyan pa naman si Presidente Duterte. Kaya lang, siyang gusto natin, kailangan yung Presidente, yung gusto niya, kasama niya. Kung sino yung gusto ni Presidente na Presidente, yun ang maging kasama niya.
Ikaw ang Pangulo para sa pagbabago. Sawa na ang paano ko sa magnanakaw ang trapo. Madilim na kahapon, ikaw ang mag-aahon. Pagpiling mo, di ko mawawala ang korupsyon. Tayo na Pilipinas, tayo na magbago. Hawak kamay tayo para sa pag-asenso. Ikaw at ako, tayong lahat kay Rodrigo Duterte, para sa tunay na pagbabago. Masdan mo ang paligid, talamak mga krimen, rape, droga at mga nakawan, dapat nang mapigilan. Tayo na Pilipinas, tayo na at magbago. Hawak kamay tayo para sa pag-asenso. Ikaw at ako, tayong lahat kay Rodrigo Duterte, para sa tunay na pagbabago. At ako, tayong lahat kay Rodrigo Duterte.
Ang tanong is, ang taong bayan ba ay gusto na tumakbo siya bilang pangalawang Pangulo ng ating bansa? Ayan.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the time has come. We are going to start now our program today. And for the first part of the program, we have the playing of the national anthem, a video of the PDP-Laban Creed to be led by Mayor Cortez of Mandawi City, and then we have the city of province of Cebu. So may I please request everyone to stand up and sing our national anthem while it's being played on video. Ladies and gentlemen, the Philippine national anthem. Please remain standing for
Dakilang may likha sa kalingat pang una.
Amin walay pagkagsan, walay pagkawasan. Panganan mo sa mga ipatid mo sa marantak ng pwedeng mo. Wangay ng marigang mo. Yan kay tagal lang. Naga untong sa matkan mo. Na karikul di betang mong babaw ng dunya. Kaya ka namin pagiging tagal lang ang lato ka namin. Inaagis ng anak mo na tamis na nagantang hawanan ng gustong patiwayan.
اللهم نتر أن هذه القلوب قد اجتمعت على محبتك واتقت على هذه المكارمك وتوحدت على دعوتك فواسق ربي طاعتها يا الله وأد مدها واملأها بنورك الذي لا يخبو واسرع صدورنا بفائد الإيمان بك وجميل وكل إليك واهدنا سبل الوحدة والسلام والصلاح ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار يا الله آمين الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر.
Mahabagin naming Ama, Ikaw aming sandigan at lakas. Ikaw ang kaligtasan ng aming katawan at kaluluwa. Naway takpan mo po kami ng iyong mapagalingang kamay upang maiadya ka bagong mundo. Hinihingi po namin na sana'y ilayo po ninyo ang mahal naming lungkot sa mga mapinsalas na pasakit at pangamba. Bigyan niyo po kami ng sapat na lakas upang aming mapagtagumpayan ang lahat ng pagsubok sa aming buhay sa pangalan ni Jesus. Amen.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. God, our loving Father, Creator of heaven and earth, we thank you for your generosity and kindness, and ask that you hear us in times of needs. Make us worthy of your blessing and keep us from further want. Help us restore our abundance here on earth so that we may turn more attention to your divine kingdom. Help us become a blessing to our family and others. Glorify and honor your name. We ask this, O Lord Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives and reigns with you in the unity of the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Iadya niyo kami sa magmamataas upang maiwaksi ang lupit at dahas. At samahang lumikha ng pamayanan payapa sa kalikasan kabuhayan, kakanyahan paniniwala.
Please remain standing. Please clap your hands in honor of our God, our Allah. Thank you. Some people are asking, bakit nauna raw yung pambansang awit bago yung prayers? Ang sagot po dyan, before you pray, you have to identify yourself who you are. Are you a Filipino? Are you an American? Or what? So we have done that in PDP-Laban. We have identified ourselves. We are Filipinos. Then that's the time that we ask blessings from our God. Now, may I call on Mayor Cortez of Mandaue City to please lead the recitation of the PDP-Laban Creed. Please raise your left hand and follow Mayor Cortez. Democratic way of life.
A peaceful and democratic way of life.
To ensure the establishment and maintenance.
To ensure the establishment and maintenance.
Society.
Of Filipino society.
Characterized by
a Filipino society characterized by freedom,
solidarity,
justice,
equity, social responsibility,
self-reliance, efficiency, enlightened nationalism, under a federal system of government.
Under a federal
system
I
of
further
government.
commit myself.
Humanism,
enlightened nationalism, democratic socialism, and consultative participatory democracy.
Thank you again. Please give a round of applause. You may take your seat. Now we are going to hear from no less than the governor of Cebu province, Governor Gwen Garcia, for her welcome remarks.
My Secretary Michael Dino, the mayors of the Tri-Cities, we have with us, of course, Mayor Jonas Cortez, Mayor Hong Chan, and Mayor Edna Villa, represented by Councilor Raymond Garcia, our Congresswoman of the 6th, and officers of the Partido Democrático Filipino, gathered here in Cebu, as well as those that are joining us by Zoom. Kanatong tan maayong hapon sa makausapa. 6 years ago, a handful of us decided to throw our lot in with a man who espoused the advocacies that we believed in. Anti-drugs, anti-criminality, anti-corruption, and above all, federalism. He was then a mayor of a major city in Mindanao. And he was supported by the PDP. Well, we rallied behind his candidacy for president. We believed in him. And so did 16 million other Filipinos. The rest was history. Mayor, and how votes over his closest rival. Because that is how Cebu delivers. When they believe in a man, when they believe in his cause. 3 years later, in 2019, we gathered with a growing crescendo, a much bigger group that joined the PDP and ran for each of our respective positions. Here in Cebu, in this island of Cebu, by so doing, you have underscored the importance of Cebu in the coming national elections. And judging from how Cebu can deliver, perhaps it might not be too much to say that where Cebu goes, so will the rest of the country. And so, it is my great honor and privilege to welcome all of you right here in this one united, unified, great island of Cebu. Daghan kaayong salamat.
Thank you so much, Governor Gwen Garcia, for the wonderful welcome remarks. As they say, history repeats itself. In case of PDP-Laban, history repeats itself not once, twice, thrice. I remember that the very first major meeting of PDP-Laban sometime in the early 1980s was held here in Cebu. And as Governor Gwen Garcia has mentioned, Cebu delivered the biggest votes for Mayor Digong and became President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Again, please render a round of applause to our Cebuanos under the leadership of Governor Gwen Garcia. Now let's go to the meeting proper of the National Council. But before, I'm going to ask our Vice Chairman to preside the meeting proper. Let me just say a few words. Political parties are not ordinary organizations or associations or corporations. Political parties are quasi-government agencies vested with public interest. And no less than the Philippine Constitution itself, under Article 9, letter C, Section 2, Paragraph 5, up to Section 10, you can see the different provisions of the Philippine Constitution governing the operation, administration, and management of political parties. Political parties remain accountable to the people. Leaders and members of political parties can be held accountable, even criminally liable, if they violate our election laws and our Constitution. It is for this reason that's why we are calling this National Council meeting in order that we can make PDP-Laban really an accountable political party and helping service our nation. And for this, may I now call on the Vice Chairman of PDP-Laban, the Energy Secretary Alfonso Cuse, call meeting of the National Council to order.
Okay. Thank you, Secretary Lambino, our designated MC for today's meeting. And I would like to also thank Governor Gwen for her welcome remarks and welcoming members, Secretary Morales and Secretary Dino for joining me in this meeting. I call this meeting out to order, and before we proceed, I just want to say that by the authority of the chairman under Article 16, Section 4 in relation to Section 5 of the PDP-Laban Constitution, I call this meeting to order at 1:58 this afternoon, May 31, 2021. If any member wishes to examine the authority delegated to me, please proceed to the Secretariat to verify the documents. And before we proceed, may I ask the Secretariat to confirm and make a roll call of the quorum. Secretariat, please.
We call Attorney Melvin Matibag, the Deputy Secretary General of PDP-Laban, to please call the roll.
Afternoon. In today's National Committee meeting, we are supposed to be 159. Right now, 140 is in Zoom and in physical presence. In attendance today, or physically present, Secretary Acusi, Secretary Carlo Gares, Secretary Maldino, Governor Gwen Garcia, Secretary Franklin Quijano, Undersecretary Astrabel Naik, Chairman of Membership Committee, Alonso Saclag from Car Region, Secretary de la Serna, Congressman Lulipap, Mayor Leonard Ahong, Mayor Jonas Cortez, and Secretary Dino is present, DG Pasa is present, and in Zoom, the Secretary present are Secretary Carlos Dominguez, Secretary Wendell Abisado, MMD Chair Benhar Abalos, Pastor Greco Butch Belica, Chairperson Greco Belica, and Undersecretary Alvin Feliciano. Out of 39 governors, we have 22 governors present in Zoom. There are Governor Nancy Catamco of Cotabato, Governor Dale Domingo Corbera of Agusan del Norte, Governor Art Defensor of Iloilo, Governor Imelda de Maporo of Plano del Norte, Governor Bons Dolor of Oriental Mindoro, Governor Hermogenes Sebdane of Zambales, Governor Amado Espino of Pangasinan, Governor Ben Ibardole of Eastern Samar, Governor Ramil Hernandez of Laguna, Governor Dodo Mandanas of Batangas, Governor Wilter Palma of Zamboanga, Sibugay, Governor Domingo Pitilla of Leyte, Guque, is also on his way to attend physically. Members present physically, Congresswoman Lollipop Juanyo and Congressman Bimatugas. Congresswoman Baby Arenas of the 3rd District of Pangasinan is present. Congresswoman Sherilyn Banyas Nograles of South Cotabato. Congressman Jose Francisco Benitez of Negros Occidental. Congressman Rupi Biason of Muntinlupa. Congressman Rimpi Bontoc of the 4th District of Pampanga. Congressman Antonio Calixto of Pasay. Congressman Kari Congressman Juni Cuwa of Quirino. Forgot to mention Governor Dax Cuwa is also present, and Congressman Tony Co of Masbate. Congressman Lawrence Defensor of Iloilo is present. Congressman Khalid de Maporo of Lanao del Norte 1st District. Congressman Junmel Espino of Pangasinan. Congresswoman Ria Pariñas of Ilocos Norte. Congressman Joyet Garcia of Bataan. Congresswoman Lucy Torres of the 4th District of Leyte. Congressman Ferdinand Hernandez of South Cotabato 2nd District. Congresswoman Dulce Ann Hoffer of Zamboanga Sibugay 2nd District. Congresswoman Elisa Co of Masbate 2nd District. Congressman Wilton Co of the 3rd District of Masbate. Congresswoman Donna Labad-Labad. Congressman Dale Malapitan of the 1st District. Congressman Eric Martinez of Valenzuela is one of the original PDP in the 2016 election. Congresswoman Maria Angelica Matba of Agusan del Norte. Congresswoman Lucille Nava. Congressman Eric Olivares of Parañaque. Congressman Rogelio Pacquiao of Sarangani is present. Congresswoman Marisol Panotes of Camarines Norte 2nd District. Congressman Johnny Pimentel sa Surigao del Norte 2nd District. Congressman Dalan of North Cotabato. Congressman of Nueva Ecija, 3rd District. Congressman Henry Villarica, Bulacan 2nd District. Congresswoman Divina Grace Yu of Zamboanga del Sur. And Congressman Ronnie Zamora of San Juan City. City mayors who is in attendance. Mayor Mechi Abalos of Mandaluyong. Mayor also in attendance is Undersecretary Jonathan Malaya, physically present today. Nabanggit ko na lang. Okay. So, those are also present today is Deputy Secgen Secretary Noel Peyonco is also here. So we have a composition of the secretaries and the congressman governors present today. As I mentioned earlier, Mr. Chairman, we have 159 members of the national. We only need 63 to compose a quorum, Mr. Chairman. So we can proceed with our meeting today. Oh, I was just informed, just entered the Zoom, is Senator Bato de la Rosa and Senator Tolentino. So, kompleto na tayo, represented po, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you,
Mr. Chair,
Secretary.
I'm sorry. Meeting. So, Governor Faculty is also present. So, yung mga pumapasok pa po, Mr. But just the same, room.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Secretariat. In accordance to our Constitution, we only need 40%, and obviously we are more than that. So, with the confirmation of the quorum, we now proceed with the meeting. Now, at this point, just to facilitate, to put order in our meeting, I would like to appoint Secretary Raul Bino, the Vice President for International Affairs and members of the National Council, for this meeting. Is there any appointment of the moderator? Moderator for this meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for accepting it. And Mr. Moderator, can we please proceed with the reading of the meeting's agenda?
There are 5 main topics in the proposed agenda in today's PDP-Laban National Council meeting. First is the Chairman's address. by no less than our President, Mayor Rodrigo Duterte. Second, again, coming from President Duterte, the Chairman's report on programs promotion within incumbents. And we are going to have here Secretary Morales and in virtual participation of Chairman Benhar Abalos, and also some of the documents that were gathered from all our country, manifesto of support for this particular subject. Fourth are administrative matters in preparation for the 2022 national elections. And lastly, other matters for discussion. I so move, Mr. Chairman, that we adopt this agenda, and I think Governor Bardone, who is now in Zoom meeting, would like to say a few words regarding the 5 agenda for discussion, Mr. Chairman. So if Governor Ibardone is around, may we hear a few words from you, sir.
Okay, Governor Ibardone is acknowledged by Zoom.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, party mates. I would like to congratulate, in accordance with our constitution, and then I would like to formally move, Mr. Chairman, for the adoption of the agenda for today's National Council meeting, since we have a quorum, Mr. Chairman, and we have convened this meeting in accordance with our constitution, Mr. Chairman. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. There is a motion to approve the agenda, adopt and approve the agenda.
May I call on Undersecretary Naik, who wants to say something about the agenda? Madam Undersecretary Trabel Naik.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, any second motion? Do I hear any second motion?
Second the motion.
A point of order.
Move and second, any objection?
Mr. Chairman, I am
None.
raising a point
The agenda is adopted for today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
I'm raising a point of order.
At this
According to
point,
parliamentary procedures, I should be
okay, at this point, I just
as
want
it is
to
a priority motion.
make some clarification, just for the record. Just for the record, this is the
order,
first
Mr.
National
Chairman.
Council meeting to be convened since
Point of
President
order, Mr.
Rodrigo Duterte was elected as national chairman of the party.
Mr. Chairman, I am
As
raising
mentioned
a
by
point of order.
our moderator, did you know that the first PDP-Laban National Convention was held in here in Cebu on February 6,
Chairman,
1982? So what we are coming, what we have accomplished, and what needs to be done. The pandemic shall also be addressed where National Council members or cabinet officials will report on the ongoing management of this COVID-19 crisis. This meeting is for the specific purpose of giving directions and shall also serve as a preparation for the party to comply with recent COMELEC resolutions relevant to the conduct of the 2022 national elections, which will be later.
I am raising.
So, at this point, Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Chairman, there is a point of order being raised by Congressman Teves of Negros Oriental. May I ask the chairman to recognize
yes, okay.
Congressman Teves for his point of order?
Teves is hereby recognized. Congressman Teves?
Mr. Chairman, of order, minumute ako, hindi dapat ganun. We should follow parliamentary procedure. Bago pa tayo nag-roll call, I was already raising a point of order and I pressed the raise hand setting in the Zoom app. Anyways, now that I am recognized, good afternoon everybody. Good afternoon, sirs. Especially Sir Alpusi, who is a very good friend of me and my father. Meron lang akong question. For being bypassed because Section 60, Article 6, Section 6 says that the Secretary General shall serve written notice that I am the Secretary General of the PDP-Laban Party. Buhay pa ako, hindi naman ako incapacitated, hindi on that note, Chairman, meron pang isa dito, Article 16, Section 4, that the chairman of the council shall have the following functions. One is to coordinate with the president on the agenda of the National Council meetings. I don't think there was prior coordination with the president of the party. On that note, Mr. Chairman, I move that in the meantime, this meeting be adjourned.
Mr. Chairman, may I respond to the issue raised by
I
our
object,
good
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I object, Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
because I think this meeting is properly convened in accordance with the rules of the party.
So, Governor Verdon, please proceed, sir, before the moderator will respond to the point of order of Congressman Teves. Governor Verdon, please.
The rules provide that the national chairman can call for a national council meeting. Now, I think that the national chairman has authorized the vice chairman to call for this meeting. And for that reason, I think this national council meeting is in order, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Moderator.
And I also believe that the vice chairman has coordinated with the acting president in accordance with the rules, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Governor Verdone. Congressman Teves, regarding your query, the provision of the PDP-Laban Constitution so speak that only the National Assembly can elect national party officers, which includes the position of Secretary General of the party. Since the resignation of then Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez as the Secretary General of the party, that position has remained vacant. The only authority that can appoint or elect party national party officials would be the National Assembly. And therefore, as far as the position of the PDP-Laban National Council is concerned, that position remains vacant up to now. And given the fact that Deputy Secretary General Matibag is now the current Deputy Secretary General with his appointment duly signed as of 2016, then the Deputy Secretary General Matibag is the one recognized to continue functioning as Secretary General of the party, absent the election of a Secretary General. And even with that, Mr. Chairman, may I read the provision of Article 16 of PDP-Laban Constitution and Bylaws regarding National Council under Section 6. It's very clear here, Mr. Chairman. The National Council shall meet quarterly at a date, time, and place fixed by it. The Secretary General shall serve written notice of such meeting at least 10 days before the meeting. And I think written notices were sent by no less than the Vice Chairman, duly signed, shall not invalidate the proceedings if a quorum existed therein. There being already a quorum that is called upon, so the meeting of the National Council is in order, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Secretary Lambino. And let's take note, as had been called, the meeting is in order, and we shall proceed. Thank you. Okay. At this point, before proceeding, I would like the Secretariat to please, considering our chairman, President Mayor Rodrigo Roa Duterte, cannot join us physically, I would like to ask the Secretariat to please play the message of our chairman, President Duterte, to the body. Secretary, please.
Over the years, over the years, countries. Over the years, the PDP-Laban has revolutionized our country's political landscape by pursuing genuine reforms and good governance in both the national and local levels. I thus urge all my party mates for staying true to the party's mission, which has always been to prioritize the welfare of our people. As we continue to overcome the COVID-19 pandemic that will strengthen our gains in good governance, especially those that will foster lasting peace and progress for our nation. Again, I call on all of my party mates to stand together and remain united, not by personal interest, but by our principles and values as we chart the future of our party and the rest of the nation. Congratulations at mabuhay ang PDP-Laban. PDP-Laban has revolutionized our country's politics.
Thank you, Secretariat, and let's thank our chairman for giving us that message, that inspiration for us to move with unity and help him address the problems that are being faced by our country today. So, we proceed, moderator.
At this point in time, Mr. Chairman, may I recognize may I request that the chair recognizes Undersecretary Astravil Naik, who would like.
Okay, our committee chairman for membership is hereby recognized. Madam Masra.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. First of all, the point of objection that was raised earlier by Congressman Arn Teves. First of all, as membership committee chairman, I would like to manifest that the National Council has never been in receipt of any appointment. So there is no record in the National Council of him being Secretary General. And Mr. Chairman, considering the explanation preparations to the 2022 national elections, I move that the National Council authorize duly appointed Deputy Secretary General Melvin Batiba, whose appointments were signed by the President himself, our party chairman, the former President of the PDP-Laban, Senator Aquilino Coco Pimentel, the former Secretary General, Congressman Pantaleon Alvarez. In the interim, that the Attorney Melvin Batiba will take the position as acting Secretary General in accordance with Article 17, Section 2, in relation to Session General. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
There being a motion from Undersecretary Astravil Naik, and there are several members of the council who have seconded here on the floor. Do we hear anybody from those participating in virtual meeting of the National Committee a second to the motion of Undersecretary Astravil Naik? Again, the motion of Undersecretary Naik is that for Deputy Secretary General Attorney Melvin Batiba be now appointed as interim.
Second motion. Second motion.
I hear the good Finance Secretary Dominguez seconding the motion. I also heard the good Budget Secretary seconding the motion.
There is the motion properly seconded. Any question? Hearing none, motion is approved. And we are now enacting SecGen in the person of Attorney Melvin Batiba.
At this juncture, Mr. Chairman,
yes.
May I move for 1 minute suspension to allow our acting Deputy Secretary General to occupy the presidential table?
Yes, that's
Mr.
what I was about to say. To help me in this meeting, I would request the acting second to occupy a seat here at the chairman's table. And also, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Governor of Bohol, Jose Archa. Good afternoon. 1 minute suspension.
1 minute suspension for Attorney Batiba to occupy the presidential table.
So, okay. So now that our section is with us here to support, to help in this meeting, let's proceed with the proceeding. And at this point, Mr. Moderator, the chairman's report, please.
Yeah, the next item of the agenda, Mr. Chairman, from Acting Secretary General Melvin Matibag for his...
Mr. Chair, before we proceed with the next item, I'd just like to recognize additional members of the National Committee who just came in. Governor Esho, Congressman Don Gonzales, Congresswoman Rida Robes, DILG Undersecretary Martin Dino, former Congressman Rodolfo Piñas is present also. Region 4 President Mr. Efren Hinduino is present. Governor Jose Alvarez of Palawan is present also. Is present. Deputy Commissioner is also in attendance. Mr. Hermia is also in attendance. Mr. Region 7.
Those people on attending via Zoom, you're not recognized, just please let us know. Thank you, and you're all welcome to join us.
Mr. Moderator, Mr. Chairman, at this juncture, we'll proceed to the next item of the agenda, which is the report of our party chairman, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, on the various programs promoted and implemented during his incumbency as President of the Republic of the Philippines. Let's watch and listen via video presentation, Mr. Chair.
In after 3 to 4 years, the traffic at the airport has grown. Employment in the region.
Nabigyan ako ng trabaho dahil sa pagtayo ng terminal ko. So, simula yung ganito, na-hire mo ako. May mga stores na pwede mabilhan, para more na dito.
Gusto ko kasi magtrabaho dito pala sa airport kasi alam ko yung dito is iba sa mga malls ko sa labas. Nagkaroon ko ng maraming opportunity na makilala yung iba't ibang klase ng tao para nalaman ko yung mga iba't ibang kultura nila. Nung nagbukas ito, maraming mga sorte na nag-open dito, kaya maraming tao yung trabaho dito. Proud po talaga kasi yun nga, sabi nila para kung nasa ibang lugar po airport. Kaya masaya.
Agosto 2017, pinirmahan ng Presidente yung RA 10931. So mula June ng 2018, lumawak yung saklaw ito. Libreng tuition, libreng miscellaneous fees, at lumawak din yung mga makikinamang estudyante. Dati 112 state universities and colleges lang. Dinagdagan natin ng 78 local universities.
Dahil sa dami po ng mga babayaran namin, sa dami ng gastos.
Yung thought na may babayaran pa akong tuition, wala na po. So, nakatulong po yun sa buhay ng isang estudyante.
Pinasok din yung konsepto ng tertiary education subsidy. Ito ay dagdag na ayuda para sa mga estudyante na kailangan.
Nung nalaman ko po na naging part po ako ng tertiary education subsidy, napakalaking po sa akin. Dahil na po sa ako sa pera, ako lang po yung nakapagos na kolehiyo. So, unexpected dumating po yung TES or tertiary education subsidy ng 4th year. Mas nag-focus po ako sa pag-aaral ko. Wala na po akong iisipin na, ay, kailangan kong bumangon na maaga para magtrabaho.
We will produce a Filipino workforce that is better educated, better trained, and highly employable.
Na naging isa po ako sa scholarship niyo at moving forward po na marami pa po mga estudyante ang matutulungan niyo. Maraming salamat po at more power.
First time na yung law na binasa was really celebrated in the entire council. Especially the youth, ay hindi dahil sa conflict, more than 40 years na conflict, maraming hindi nakakapag.
Comfortable na kami sa hindi katulad noon
hindi naging presidente si President Duterte, mahirap pa rin na mati. Pero dahil po sa very consistent na pag-push niya sa implementation ng agreement. So, yun ang naging susi para ma-implement.
Universal healthcare law mandates that every Filipino must have an equitable access to quality healthcare services at the time of need without incurring financial risks. Maraming mabibenepisyahan sa UHC law. Una-una, ang mga pasyente, lalo na yung mga mahihina, ay makakasiguro sila na magkakaroon sila ng mga pangunahing servisyo ng kalusugan. Palawa, yung ating mga healthcare facilities ay makatatanggap sila ng financing para sa mga servisyo na kanilang pamamalas sa ating mga kababayan. Pangatlo, ang mga doktor, ang mga healthcare professionals ay magaganansya kami kasi maliban sa kanilang sweldo, madami-dagan pa mula sa mga reimbursements ng PhilHealth sa kanilang mga facilities. Wala na silang dapat ikabahala dahil no balance billing policy na sa ilalim ng Universal Healthcare Law. So, ang mga ospital ay hindi na po sila dapat maningil. Ang 90% sa ating mga pampubliko ng pagamutan ay hindi dapat sumingil.
Na-diagnose po ako ng stage 3B rectal cancer. From Talit Pateros, nireport po kami sa PGH. Napakalaki yung tulong po sa aming paggamit ng treatment. Kasi ang aking business asset, wala po siya kasi naasikaso niya ako yung aming baby. We are grateful that Aklan is chosen as one of the implementation sites of this law, the Universal Healthcare Law. In partnership with the Department of Health, we have improved the health facilities. We've also trained our healthcare workers para po mas makapagbigay po sila ng quality care and compassion sa ating kapasyon.
May pattern daw yung amount of money every month na
sobrang shock ako. May court, crowded, ang daming structures. Parang hindi ito yung nakita ko na Boracay before.
We thought it would give us a hard time, no? And then, suddenly, marami pong government agency na bumaba dito. Marami po sila na naghahanap ng mga organizations like ours para tulungan, no? Para bigyan ng assistance from the government. So I would say that the closure really did us very good blessings.
Katulad ng registration workers, binigyan kami ng listahan kung ano gusto namin na training program na pwede namin i-take advantage.
Supposedly, 10:30 nasa bahay na siya. Tinawagan ko yung cellphone niya kasi wala pa siya. Nagre-ring na, hindi na siya sumasagot.
Patay ang isang mamamahayag matapos pagbabariling sa Kidapawan City. Kinilala ang biktima na si Eduardo Dizon na isang video commentator.
The suspects, based on our witnesses' affidavits, are CAPA members who are also media people themselves. The killing of Dison was officially declared to be related to his work as a media man. The President signed the Administrative Order number 1, creating the Presidential Task Force on violations of the right to life, liberty, and security of the members of the media.
This government does not condone violence and repression of media. The bona fide media has always been our partner for change.
Since the President signed Executive Order number 2 series of 2016, back in July 23, 2016, madami ng mga naging development sa ating National FOI program. We have almost all of the 1,000 national government agencies, GOCCs, SUCs, and local water districts with their FOI manuals. And half of that are on our FOI portal, foi.gov.ph. Meaning to say, ang mga kababayan natin can ask information from different government offices online or on paper-based.
Nalaman ko po yung experience na pumunta po ako sa Dole po, Legazpi City. Meron daw po programa yung OWA na sa Pinas Ikaw Ang Sir. Kumbaga, ang pinaka-programa nila, naaalin mo pa sa pagtrabaho sa abroad na meron naman dito sa Pinas. Tapos dito kaya naman ibigay ng ating gobyerno. Doon sa NRC, abel ko yung program nila na livelihood assistant. Kakuha po ako na backup. Talaga sa ispin ko, nabibigyan po kami ng chance, mapanindigan namin yung pinatapos namin ng course. Hindi lang pala na tapos ka na, kita mo picture ka. So, April, nagbalik ako sa OWA. Sabi ko, ma'am, nakapasa na po ako. So, kung mabibigyan niyo po ako, magtatry po ako maging teacher po sa DepEd. Sabi po ng NRC o OWA po, pwedeng-pwede po ako doon sa programa nila. Year 2018, nabigyan po ako ng award na school kit. Yun ay laptop at saka yung printer. Malaki po yung pasasalamat ko po. Na-establish ko po yung sarili ko. Na dati, wala ka, tapos ganito na yung life ko. Yung simpleng buhay mo, nabago ka agad.
Mr. Chairman, we have watched and heard the report of the President of the program promoted and implemented during his incumbency in the last 5 years. We have a lot more of this, and we are going to hear some reports of Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles. When he was still the chairman of the Committee on Appropriations in the House of Representatives, there were very significant laws that were passed in Congress that really alleviated the plight of our marginalized sector. And we're going to listen to that. At this juncture, Mr. Chairman, may I move that the National Council of PDP-Laban shall give a highest degree of recognition for the efforts of our party chairman, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, and his government to alleviate the plight of our countrymen in the light of the raging COVID-19 pandemic, which is not going to be over in the next 3 months or in the next 2 years. This is going to continue beyond 2022. Yet, the government continues to function, the government continues to work,
the government continues to be relevant and significant in the development of this country and in our people's lives. So I so move, Mr. Chairman, that the National Council shall give the highest degree of recognition to President.
Give the highest degree of recognition and support to our chairman, who I hear second. Everybody is
Second.
something.
Seconded.
With everybody seconding the motion for the money. There is yes. So the manifesto of support is hereby approved and adopted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let's now go to the next item of agenda. Reports of some of our party leaders on the consultations that we have undertaken all over the nation. And at this juncture, may I ask no less than our Cabinet Secretary, former Congressman Carlo Alexi Morales, to report on the national experience of the government in consultation with our different local government stakeholders.
Maraming salamat. Thank you very much to our Vice President for International Affairs, Secretary Raul Albino, who is also the acting as moderator. Good day. Maraming salamat, Secretary Raul Albino. To our Chairman, beloved President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, Vice Chairperson, Secretary Al Pusi, sa ating Interim Acting Secretary General Melvin Matibag, to our Vice President for Mindanao, DG Charito Plaza, to our OPAB Secretary Mike, kay Senator Bato de la Rosa, Senator Tol Tolentino, sa ating mga Regional Council Presidents, Regional Secretaries, sa mga kongresista, joining us physically, Congresswoman Lollipop Uwano Dizon and Congressman Bingo Hugas at sa mga kongresista joining us via Zoom. Sa ating governors, led by Governor Gwen Garcia, here present physically, and Governor Art Yap. Sa ating mga mayors, led by Mayor Ahong Chan and Mayor Jonas Cortez, who are here present. Sa ating ibang mga mayors physically present and in Zoom, together with vice mayors, city councilors, mga sangguniang board members, by a working party, a party constantly working and constantly serving. So today, I have been tasked by the chair to report on our efforts against COVID-19 and our vaccination deployment plan. Ang assignment na binigay po sa akin, pag-usapan natin ang kailangan natin gawin para talunin ang COVID-19 at ang problema po ng kagutuman. Alam niyo po, ang lahat ng utos na ginagawa natin lahat, hindi naman sa PDP-Laban, kundi sa buong bansa, sa laban against COVID ay nagmula at nagmumula ang lahat mula sa ating chair ng PDP-Laban, ating mahal na Pangulo, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Tayo kami po sa ATF ay gumagawa ng mga polisiya at nagbibigay ng rekomendasyon sa ating Pangulo, and this is part of our whole of government efforts against COVID-19. Kabilang na rin po dyan iba't ibang mga stakeholders, iba't ibang mga sektor, pero ang lahat po ng recommendation binibigay natin kay Pangulo, siya pumukumpas, ibababa niya ang kanyang decision, sa grassroots, we are there to implement. Ang lahat sinasabi, Pangulo Duterte, paulit-ulit niya sinasabi, implementation on the ground belongs to you, the LGUs, local government units. Kontra COVID-19 ay nakasalalay sa kamay ng ating mga LGUs, ating mga governors, kabilang din po dyan ng ating mga barangay kapitan. Kami po ay magawa ng guidelines at implementation, pero ang implementation ay nasa LGU po. Gusto kong i-report sa inyo na as of May 30, 4 p.m., DOH reported 7,058 COVID-19 cases. Actually, naagapan na natin ito mula sa napakalaking bilang ng COVID sa bansa nung nakalipas na mga linggo. Maraming salamat sa response ng ating mga LGUs na inaasahan po natin na sa tulong ng ating mga mayors, governors at lahat ng mga miyembro ng PDP-Laban, may papatuloy natin na may baba pa ang bilang ng COVID-19 sa ating bansa. The latest data shows 53,757 active cases. That's 4.4% ng total cases. Ngunit subalit ang total recovery natin ay nasa 93.79%. Maraming salamat mga mayors at mga barangay kapitan sa patuloy po ang paglilingkod at partnership po natin. Balikat ang ating national government. Maraming salamat din po sa mga sanggunian members at mga kongresista. Gusto ko rin pong pasalamatan ang mga regional IATF po natin na alam naman po natin na napakalaki ng role nila dito sa response against COVID-19. Alam po natin na binigyan natin ng recognition sa ating mga regional IATF. Ang localized lockdowns natin hanggang barangay, street level, building level, nasa powers ng LGU po yan. So tuloy lang po tayo sa response natin sa COVID. Dito naman po tayo dumako sa vaccination program po natin. Ito po ang lahat ng mga LGUs dito. Ayon kay Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte, sinisigurado po natin at ginagarantisado natin na lahat ng regions, provinces, LGUs, cities, municipalities, 100% po ide-deliver po natin ang mga vaccines na kinakailangan po ninyo. Pangako po yan ng ating chair ng PDP-Laban, ang ating mahal na Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Kami ay nagpapasalamat sa mga LGUs na gumawa ng sariling initiatives nila, nag-tripartite agreement, nag-purchase ng kanilang mga vaccines through tripartite agreement. But again, we would like to emphasize, nag-tripartite ka man o wala, lahat ng LGUs without exemption, bibigyan ng bakuna garantisado ni Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Gusto ko lang din po i-report ng WHO po ay humahanga sa ating ginagawa vaccination program rollout. But again, pinapasabi Pangulo ang tagumpay ng ating vaccination program ay nakasalalay sa ating mga LGUs. Alam po natin na ang deployment ng vaccines natin, dalawang phase po yan, phase by phase approach. Alam natin na number 1, it is by sector. Memorize yun na po siguro A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, B at C, at by geographical approach po. So dalawang basis po ang pagde-deploy ng ating mga vaccines. At syempre malaking role po ang governors at mayors po dito. Kasi nasa gobernador at nasa mayor po ang implementation ng vaccination rollout. Magmula po sa inyo ang tinatawag na micro planning at magmula rin po sa inyo ang tinatawag natin na master listing. So kami po ay nakikiusap, reminder lang po sa mga LGUs natin, patuloy nyo pong ibigay sa national government ang mga master list based on the priority sectors. Pakisabi na rin po sa ating mga constituents, huwag nang tingnan ang brand. Huwag nang tingnan ang brand dahil hanapin po natin kung ano ang meron. Target po natin 70 million Filipinos by end of 2021. That means December 2021, lahat po 70 million Filipinos ang ating papabakunahan. Pakisabi sa constituents, ang pinakamabisang brand ay ang bakunang nakaturok sa inyong katawan at braso. As of May 25, 2021, 7,767,290 doses have been delivered across the country out of 8,279,050 doses. 4,495,375 ay na-administer na po. Out of that, more than 1 million ay naka 2 doses na po. Klaruhin ko lang po sa lahat ng LGU, hindi po bawal sa inyo makikipag-ugnayan sa private sector. Lalong-lalo na sa private sector pagdating sa vaccination sites. Kasi kailangan natin ng regular vaccination sites, kailangan po natin ng mga mega vaccination sites. At marami sa mga partners natin ng mga private sector ay nag-o-offer ng kanilang mga locations and venues na privately owned for vaccination sites. In fact, Nakalagay po yan sa IRR natin ng Republic Act 11525 or the COVID-19 Vaccination Program Act of 2021 kung saan ini-encourage ang LGU at private sector to play a bigger role in the fight against COVID-19 para mapabilis natin ang deployment ng vaccines. Lahat ng kapartido natin ay may kanya-kanyang tungkulin dito sa vaccination rollout. Kaya kami po ay nagpapasalamat sa mga partners, members po natin sa Kongreso, mga kongresista at mga senador. Tapakan po natin sa nakalaking tulong po nila sa Bayanihan to Heal as One Act at sa Bayanihan to Recover as One Act. At sa lahat mga ating mga polisiya at recommended na mga legislative bills pending in Congress supported by the congressmen and the senators, especially our PDP-Laban members. The national government together with the local government units, mostly from PDP-Laban, the private sector, other stakeholders, we must work together and collaborate to carry out a successful vaccination rollout. Huli na lamang po, isang laban na harapin po natin kahit mawala ang COVID-19 ay ang problema po ng kagutuman at malnutrisyon. Itong mga problema ito, these twin problems, dulot at dala ng COVID-19, hindi lamang sa bansang Pilipinas, kundi sa buong mundo. Ang gutuman at malnutrisyon. Si Pangulong Duterte ay Task Force Zero Hunger, yung likod, Cabinet Secretary ay tinagang chair ng Task Force Zero Hunger na binuo ni Pangulong Duterte. At isa sa mga assignments na na-deliver na po namin ang National Food Policy. Itong National Food Policy, nandito po yung pinaka-game plan natin kontra sa kagutuman at malnutrisyon. Marami pong aspeto ang gutom. Meron po tayong action plan sa lahat ng aspetong yan. Mula sa pagtulong sa ating mga magsasaka, sa pagtugon sa mga pangangailangan ng mga kabataan at mga buntis na nanay, especially sa nutrition, sa price stability ng pagkain, accessibility, safety ng pagkain, resiliency ng ating food systems hanggang sa people participation, kaugnay ng ating mga prinsipyo sa PDP-Laban. Lahat po yan ay kasama na sa ating National Food Policy. Hindi ko na po isa-isahin ang lahat ng yan. Tututukan ko na lang po yung isang aspeto at ito yung para sa pinaka-vulnerable sectors of our society. Ang pinag-uusapan natin dito, mga batang musmos at mga buntis na nanay. Alam niyo bakit? Kasi ang ating chair, si Pangulong Duterte, sinabatas po na first 1,000 days of life. Ibig po yan sabihin ng first 1,000 days of life, mula sa inception ng bata hanggang habang siya ay nasa sinapupunan ng nanay, hanggang siya ipanganak, hanggang mag 2 years old, yun po yung pinaka-importanteng unang 1,000 araw ng buhay ng isang tao. Diyan po pasok ang rapid brain development, physical development ng bata. Meron po kaming panawagan sa mga LGUs, mga mayors, mga kapatido natin sa PDP-Laban. Suportahan po natin ang programa kontra gutom, kontra malnutrition sa first 1,000 days of life. Dito po nakasalalay ang kinabukasan ng ating bansa, ang buhay ng susunod na henerasyon po ng bansang Pilipinas. Meron po tayong nilunsad na tutok kainan program, maliban pa sa DepEd School-Based Feeding Program, maliban sa DSWD, Supplementary Feeding Program, itong pinabagong programa ng ating mahal na Pangulo. We are currently doing pilot programs of tutok kainan sa ilang mga probinsya at mga bayan sa buong Pilipinas. Samantalang habang ginagawa po natin ang pilot implementation yan, hinihimo ko po ang mga LGUs natin na mag-integrate ng maternal, neonatal, child health, and nutrition programs sa inyong mga local development plans sang-ayon sa inyong local nutrition action plans. Kasi meron tayong Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition, kailangan po matranslate yan sa local Plan of Action for Nutrition sa inyong mga LGUs hanggang sa pinaka-barangay natin. Ang mga miyembro ng PDP-Laban na kinabibilangan ng mga matataas na opisyal ng pangalan ay malaki ang naiambag sa ating paglaban sa gutom at sa pandemyang COVID-19. Maraming salamat sa ating mga senators, sa ating mga kongresista, sa ating mga sa kanilang pagbibigay ng Bayanihan 1 at Bayanihan 2, sa pagsuporta nila sa mga panukalang batas at polisiya na sinusuportahan din po ng ating administrasyon. Maraming salamat sa mga gobernador, mga mayors at lahat ng mga LGUs sa pagiging ama at ina ng inyong mga nasasakupan upang pangasiwaan at siguro ang kanilang kaligtasan ng kanilang mga kababayan kontra sa COVID-19. Let us continue observing the minimum public health standards. Let us continue our constituents to get vaccinated. Encourage more to get vaccinated. But with all the efforts, cooperations, and prayers, I am optimistic that we will be able to stop the spread of this virus and eventually put an end to this pandemic. I encourage everyone to be catalysts towards winning this fight against COVID-19 and against hunger. It is my sincerest hope that we will continue to work together towards recovery. Isa-isip po natin na ang inyong pamahalaan ay tumutugon at walang tigil na nagsisikap para sa kapakanan ng bawat isang Pilipino. Kailangan po natin ang isa't isa, bigkis po natin ang ating mga diwa at hikain sa isang hangarin na labanan ang COVID-19 at sugpuin ang kagutuman sa ating bansa. Wala pong maiiwan, lahat kasali, lahat kasalo, at maliban sa panalangin, mga kababayan, kailangan nating magtunan. Salamat ninyong tanan, ugmayang hapon pag-usab.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, thank you, Sec. Carlo, for paliwanag ang hinaharap nating problema sa COVID, sa gutom. That's why last February, nagkaroon na ng panawagan ng partido sa lahat ng mga miyembro na tumulong sa hinaharap ng problema ng bansa. Hindi tayo pwede spectator lang, hindi lang po tayo pwede natingnan lang at manood kung ano nangyayari. Kailangan po ng suporta ng ating Pangulo. Sabi nga po niya, napahirap nitong problemang ito. Minsan wala na po siyang magawa, kundi umiyak na lang din. Ano po? So, bilang isang pamilya, Pilipinas, ang niya pong pinamumunuan, tumulong po tayong lahat. Tama po yung panawagan ni Sec. Carlo na hindi lang po pandemya ang problema na hinaharap ng ating bayan. Alam po din na bago po tumakbo si Pangulo, si Pangulo Duterte sa pagkapangulo ng 2016, ang nagpapakain na po siya araw-araw sa mga tao walang makain. Nagugutom. Kaya doon po sa Davao, doon po sa taliran ng Central Bank, meron po siya rin pakainan na laging lahat na magugutom, nandun lang po. At yung eleksyon, ito pong tinatawag natin na community pantry, yan po ay tuloy na ginagawa ng ating Pangulo na tahimik lang, na hindi na po niya sinasabi at pinagmamayabang, pero tuloy-tuloy po ang pagpapakain, yung community pantry na ginagawa ng ating Pangulo. At tawag po nga natin, ang partido natin, yung Duterte Kitchen. Hindi na lang po natin pinagyayabang, pero tuloy-tuloy po ang ating. At ako po nananawagan ngayon na sa lahat ng membro to give our full support to the program in fighting COVID and fighting hunger as explained by Sec. Carlo.
We'll have to listen to a person who has really personal experience on how to acting Secretary General. Please,
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, please proceed, Acting Secretary.
I was informed so that we have to acknowledge the presence of our Executive Secretary, Salvador B. Medjaldea, is joining us via Zoom, Mr. Chair. Also,
let's give Executive Secretary
Good afternoon, sir.
Medjaldea a big hand, please.
Also, Assistant Secretary Kim Raisa Uy of the Office of Executive Secretary. And Mr. Moderator, Mr. Chair, may we allow Secretary Mike Dino to to speak before Secretary Benar Abalos of MMDA because he has to catch up light. So
Yes.
if
So,
Secretary Abalos will be allowed.
before I recognize Chairman Abalos, may I first recognize,
Yes,
may I ask the Chair to first recognize Secretary Dino? Mr. Chair.
Secretary Dino is hereby recognized. Please proceed.
Daghang salamat po, Mr. Vice Chairman. I'd like to welcome all the PDP officers and members. Everyone has been acknowledged already para hindi naman siya mahaba. Officers and members of PDP na lang. I was just told that I need to speak about what the President has done here in the Visayas. Let me be very, very clear. Zoom in ko na lang sa isang programa ni President Rodrigo Roa Duterte yung sakit centers, the establishment of sakit centers all over the country. And it is very timely, very relevant nowadays. Ano po yung malasakit center? Ang malasakit center po ay isang center na pinukumpul-kumpul na po yung apat na ahensya. PCSO, DOH, DSWD, and PhilHealth. Normally kasi po, when you get sick, especially yung sa marginalized sector of our society, una pupunta sila kay Mayor, una sila pupunta kay Governor, hingi ng tulong, Mayor, galing sa Governor, sila sa mga public hospitals. But this time around, we have already opened 116 malasakit centers all over the country. Salamat po, Mr. President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, Senator Kuya Bongo, daghang salamat. Ano po yun? Let me go back. Alam mo, basic needs ng Pilipino, simple lang man, may pagkain ka, may shelter, clothing, etc. Kapag magsakit sa pamilya mo, bala sa so, nandiyan yung market center. I mentioned the agencies. Iba-ibang figure depending on your bed space capacity. Nalagay siya ng milyon sa isang hospital. The PH ng mga agencies na yun, nandyan yung fund na binigay ni Presidente dyan para ng masakit. So, with this malasakit
Ecija, Mayor Cuevas are also in the Zoom, and they are now observing these proceedings. Mr. Chair, may I ask the Chair to please recognize the Chairman of the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, former Mayor Benhar Abalos, to talk on the NCR experience. And he is a person who has actually experienced how you can be affected by this COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Chair.
Yes, just want to inform the body that Governor Gwen and Secretary Dino have to leave for Manila because they have a scheduled meeting with the President. So we have to excuse them. And can we now recognize MMDA Chairman Abalos?
Maraming salamat. Maraming salamat Co-Chairman Alcusi. Of course, gusto kong pumati sa ating mahal na Presidente, Pangulong Duterte. And of course, ang ating Acting Sec-Gen Melvin, sa lahat po ng mga PDP-Laban officials. At gusto ko rin batiin si Senator Tolentino, Senator Bato de la Rosa, of course, si E.S. Villaldia, Secretary Dominguez, Secretary Wendell Abisado, Secretary Carlos Nograles, Secretary Mike Dino, sa lahat po ng ating mga governors, mga congressman, mga alkalde, sa lahat po na opisyales ng PDP-Laban, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Itong hapon na ito ay gusto ko sanang i-share sa inyo yung experience namin dito sa Calacang, Maynila, dahil parang isang masamang panaginip po ito. No? Talagang itong mutation na to, gusto kong makita ninyo kung anong damage ang ginawa po sa amin. At halos 2 buwan kung ano po ang ginawa namin at kung nasaan na po kami ngayon. No? Just let me share this to you. No? Ito pong screen na ito. Okay. So ito po ang aking report ngayon, ang MMDA in the time of pandemic. National Capital Region Experience. Okay. So, nung pong February 22, ang talagang cause nito ay sinasabi nila pababayaan ng tao. Pero ang sabi po nung genealogy report, ang malaking bahagi nito ay itong tinatawag na Yukon variant at ang South African variant. Ito po ang, tingnan nyo po ang datos nito. Noong February 22 ay halos 3,600 lamang. No? Pagkatapos nung bandang March 3, naging 5,006 at biglang pumalo po ito ng 24,000. Kung titignan po natin ito'y February, actually no February halos mag-aano na ho kami nito, magmo-modified GCQ na kami eh. Pero napigil lang kami ng ating Pangulo, sinabi sa amin wag muna, no, GCQ muna kayo. And true enough, kumarat itong variant na to. Tignan niyo po ang damage na ginawa sa Calacang, Maynila. And so, ito'y pamula March 29 hanggang April 11, nagdeklara kagad ng ECQ ang IATF. Inulit ko po, itong mga ganitong status, ang may final say ay ang Presidente. Kung kaya't malaki ang pasalamat namin dahil through all of these years, the President has been the guiding force, no? Is the guiding force behind this. Kung paano niya po talaga yung mga desisyon na tama, siya po talaga ang gumagawa po nito. Ngayon, of course, walang kapalit dito sa intensive PDITR. Ito po yung ginagawa naman po nating lahat. Of course, itong prevention, minimum health protocols. At nung detection po, talagang bumuhos po ang halos 50,000 na swab namin dito. Ito yung during the period of ECQ. No? Talagang kinontrol po namin ang gusto ito. No? Ito po yung talagang top of the list ng LGUs ng Calacang, Maynila. Ito po yung mga numbers na in-isolate po namin. At hindi lamang ngayon sa treatment, napaka-essential po na tinatawag namin One Hospital Command. Ito po ay patakbo po ito ng DCDA kasama Department of Health. Tumutulong po MMDA dito. Nang sa ganoon ay tinatawag ang mga may pasyente at dinidirect sila sa mga tamang hospital, hindi lamang sa Kamaynilaan, kundi sa mga kapitbahay po namin. Dahil talaga nag-uumapaw po ang mga hospital po noon. Of course, Importante, no, ang border control, ang curfew, and of course, ang data evaluation. Itong border control, anong ibig sabihin po nito? Ako'y nagpapasalamat, no, sa governor ng Rizal, ng Bulacan, ng Cavite at Laguna. Bakit po ito? Dahil ito po'y sinama ng IATF dahil humingi ng tulong ang aming mga alkalde na halos labas-pasok po sa Metro Manila. So halos nung habang kami ay gumagamot dito, ni-request namin na baka pwedeng lakihan namin ang borders namin. And true enough, umaksyon kagad ang IATF dito at sinama na ho sa Kalakang, Maynila ang mga region na yun. Kaya malaki ang pasalamat namin sa governors, sa mga mayors po ng mga kapitbahay namin. Ang Bulacan, Laguna, Cavite at Rizal. Tapos yun, talagang mga mayors ng Kalakang, Maynila, gumawa po kami ng curfew. No, talagang dalawa halos, talagang nilimit po namin ito. And of course, we're always guided by data. Ang data po ng DOH, ang data ng Okta, and of course, ang ating economic team. No? Tignan nyo po ngayon, after so many times, no? So dumaan na po tayo sa ito po ang Metro Manila COVID situation ngayon, May 30. Ang pinakamataas po namin, kitang-kita rito ay May 17. Ngayon bumaksak na ang kaso rito dahil sa ginawang ito. From 14,000, kita nyo lang, halos 10,000 na lang itong May 30. No? Halos talagang pababa pa ho hanggang ngayon. Nagpa-plateau ngayon pero pababa. Ngayon kung titignan po natin dito, importante rito, ang tanong ngayon ay anong mga klaseng polisiya meron tayo? Dahil mahirap naman kung puro paghihigpit ang gagawin namin. Of course, at this stage, we are then guided, hindi lamang ng DOH, but most importantly, ang aming economic team. Nagpapasalamat po ako, andito ngayon si Secretary Sunny Dominguez, no, ng Finance. Of course, si Secretary Carl Chua po, no? Si Secretary din po ng ating DTI, Simon Lopez, Secretary ni Berna po ng DOT. Dahil nagkatulungan sila na ang aming pong polisiya rito ay slowly but surely, and of course, andun kagad ang caution. Kung titignan po natin sa Kalakang, Maynila, ang experience namin in 2 months, dumaan muna kami sa mahigpitang ECQ. Ano yung ECQ? Talaga itong 2 linggo, walang labasan ng bahay. Dito talaga, nagbigay pa ng ayuda ang ating mahal na presidente. Napakabigat itong panahon na ito. Sumunod dito ay tinatawag na Modified Enhanced Quarantine. No? At sumunod ay ang MECQ pero with flexibility. Anong ibig sabihin nito? Nag-open kami ng konti. And then, dumating ang GCQ with heightened restrictions. Now, just to show you, ito po ang mga definition nito. I will not delve into this, no? Pero kung titignan po natin, bawat classification ay napakahigpit. Napakahigpit po niyan. Ngunit, ito problema. Meron kang mga in-between. Not necessarily 50%, 30% kasi nga ang game plan is slowly but surely and with caution eh. Kaya nga doon pumapasok yung tinatawag natin MECQ flexible or heightened GCQ. No? So ito po more or less yung mga definition nitong mga GCQ with heightened restrictions. No? Ngayon, in short, lahat po yan ay nasa table na ito. Ito po ang nagdala sa amin magmula ng MECQ na kung saan ang ECQ, alam naman natin, mahigpit ito, ang pwede lamang ang essential services, ang essential business, no, pati ang mobility, naging MECQ. No? Dito po kami dumaan. So nakita nyo, 10%, more or less, yung mga religious activities, etc. etc. Sumunod, nagkaroon kayo ng hybrid. Ito yung flex, GCQ with heightened restrictions. So dito nyo makikita yung mga pagkakaiba at anong ginawa ka ng Kalakang, Maynila at lalong-lalo na ng ITF na mga definition na ito ay binawasan niya. No? Nagkaroon ng adjustments. Pero alam nyo, napakaganda na nangyari rito. Dahil talagang bumaksak na ang kaso namin pero nag-iingat pa rin kami ngayon. Bukod po rito, ano naging sikreto? Ito po. Sa aming lugar ay 17 LGUs po kami. No? Ang naging rito ay iisa lamang ang boses namin. Iisang boses namin pagdating sa mga major policies, kamukha mo itong curfew na ito na pinasa namin, kamukha po ng mga edad na pinasa namin, kamukha ng pagsususpend dati ng mga personal care. No? Tapos ito na naman, panibaging curfew. Tapos yung mga community pantry, meron din po salita lahat ng alkalde ng Kalakang, Maynila rito. Again, curfew na naman ito. So dito po, we vote as one. Pero ang importante sa lahat, yung guiding force namin ang ating Pangulo. No? Siya po ang final arbiter ng lahat ito. Ano pong ibig ko sabihin? Sa atin, ang sikreto dito ay pagtutulungan. Sa ngayon po, tama po si Sec. Nograles, ang kailangan naman natin ngayon ay ang bakuna. Nagbabakuna po ngayon kami rito. Siguro in about 3 or 2 months talagang baka dumami, hindi natin masabi. Pero ngayon pa lang ay pinaghahandaan namin. Ang Robinsons at Shoemart, hindi lamang ho nagbigay sila ng tinatawag na mall, higit sa lahat, yung kailangan mga doktor at nurses. Nakahingi po kami sa kanila. At hindi po lamang yun, tumutulong din po sa atin yung tinatawag na T3. Ano ito? Ito po yung mga businessmen, sila Bill Luz, ito pong Ayala, yung magkalaban na Jollibee at McDonald, no? Yung private, nakiisa sa gobyerno. Paano? Para ma-compute yung mga darating na bakuna para wag masira. Araw-araw nagmi-meeting po ang mga tiga-gobyerno, mga mayors, hanggang po sila. So ito po yung makikita natin bayanihan, pagtutulungan ng lahat, ng gobyerno, lahat po ng opisyales at ng private. Of course, ang ating presidente po ang nag-lay down po ng lahat ito. Siya po ang sa mga major policy issues, siya po ang nagdideklara nito, kaya malaki po ang utang na loob po namin sa kanya. Sa inyong mga lahat, sa mga members ko na PDP-Laban, sana maksipano ay nakipag-share po ako sa naging experience po namin dito sa Metro Manila. Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat.
Maraming salamat, Chairman Abalos. You're doing a very good job for our people in Metro Manila. The moderator, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this juncture, we would like to hear also from one of the stalwarts of the party, the Vice President for Mindanao, who is also the Director General of the Philippine Economic Zone Authority, to give us a few words on what PEZA has been doing for our economic workers, which as economic frontliners, Mr. Chairman. So may we hear from the Director General, the real General Reserve, Director General Ching Plaza.
Okay, DG Plaza, you recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our distinguished members of the PDP-Laban National Council and our distinguished senators, cabinet members, our congressmen, our governors, mayors, at sa lahat po ng mga tunay at totoong kapamilya, kapuso ng PDP-Laban. Mr. Chairman and all my fellow National Council PDP-Laban members, ito pong nakatayo sa inyong harapan ay isa po sa mga orihinal na mga nakikipaglaban who shed tears, sweat, and love to our President Rudy Duterte. Kaya po sa puso namin, kailangan ay makapag-contribute tayo sa administrasyon ng ating mahal na Pangulo sa pamamagitan ng ating mga programa at proyekto na makapagbigay ng kaunlaran, kapayapaan sa ating bansa at sa ating mga kapwa Pilipino. Mr. Chairman and fellow members, I am proud to say that we did a record-breaking investment promotion in the Philippines, starting with the administration of President Rodrigo Duterte in 2016. So ngayon po, dahil sa ating the trust and confidence showed by the investors, both foreign and local investors, to our government, the administration of our president, we're happy to inform everyone na ang PEZA, ang ating mahal na bansang Pilipinas, ay nirerespeto na po ng buong mundo. We are globally competitive in terms of investment, promotion, in terms of export income in terms of employment. Ito po dahil sa independent foreign policy of the President. First time po na nangyayari sa Pilipinas ng ating bansa sa pamamagitan ng liderato ng ating mahal na Pangulo ay handa nang tumanggap o tinatanggap ang buong mundo, ang mga investors sa buong mundo. Kasi dati po sa hindi pa panahon ni Pangulong Duterte, pinipili natin yung investors. Takot tayong mag-invite ng mga taga-China kasi yung ating old school of thought na baka ito ang magsusuporta si China sa mga NPA, mga terorista. No? Takot tayong mag-imbita sa taga-Middle East o mga Muslim investors dahil akala natin ito yung sila ang tumutulong sa mga terorista. Takot tayong mag-imbita sa mga Russians dahil ito ay ito ang immediate or direct enemy of the US, no? So ito po yung mga old school of thoughts na natanggal na po lahat dahil sa independent foreign policy of President Duterte. The country is now very attractive to the global investors. So nitong nangyaring pandemya, Mr. Chairman, mga kasamahan ko sa PDP-Laban National Council, we are very proud to tell everybody, because of the continuing trust and confidence of our investors, parang walang pandemya sa ating mga economic zones. We continue to grow, created new and different types of ecozones, and continue to attract investors to our economic zones. So ngayon po, sa Duterte administration, we were able to create 1.6 million directly provided with jobs in our 413 economic zones and 4,856 export companies. Mr. Chairman, yung 1.6 million, ito yung direct na bigyan ng trabaho sa ating mga ecozones. Sa NEDA ratio po, for every one direct job, there are 6 indirect jobs created by our ecozone service providers. No? Ito yung ibang investors as suppliers, trackers, brokers, and everybody doing business in our ecozones. So if you multiply every direct job times 6, Mr. Chairman, we have created 9.2 million direct and indirect jobs in our ecozones. Magpapasalamat din po kami kay Pangulong Duterte dahil sa kanyang issuance of AO 18, Administrative Order 18, which mandates that we should accelerate progress, address the poverty alleviation, especially in the countryside, by creating and spreading the creation of special economic zones in our provinces and cities in the countryside nationwide. Kaya po ngayon, Mr. Chairman, tuwang-tuwa po ang ating mga local government units because finally, magkaroon na sila ng ecozone and bibigay yung mga incentives para sa mga investors pag sila po ay nasa loob ng economic zone. And with the new CREATE law, thanks to the economic team led by Secretary Dominguez, ay lalo nating mapalawak ang mga incentives ng ating not just foreign investors but also country peaceful and progressive through the creation of economic zones. Mr. Chairman, nais ko po mga presidential advisors in the various areas of the country, of course, Secretary tumulong sa ating scene kasi po sila ang economic frontliner. Sila po yung nagpapatuloy sa mga trabaho, mga negosyo despite the pandemic. Kasi po during the lockdown, while the domestic enterprises were closed because of the domestic lockdown, it's our export companies in PESA and other investment promotion agencies who continue with their are still operational dahil po sa tulong ng ating mahal na Pangulo ay patuloy nating binigyan ng business assistance and reliefs ang ating mga investors. At ito pong latest, magpasalamat ako kay Mayor Ahong Chan, no? Siya po ang unang-unang nag-offer ng free vaccine to the ecozone workers, no? And this was followed by the commitment of Secretary Dino, the presidential advisor for the Visayas, na hindi lang Lapu-Lapu City, hindi lang Cebu, kundi buong Visayas na mga ecozone workers will now be given free vaccine. I also got the commitment of Secretary Raul Lambino for his request, and Secretary Carlo Nograles for all the presidential advisors of the entire country to do the same by asking the IATF to provide free COVID vaccine to all our economic frontliners, not just in PESA's economic zones, but in all the IPAs of the country. So thank you, Mr. President. Nagpatuloy po ang trust and confidence ng mga investors sa atin. In fact, comparing the export income that they have contributed to the country last year, we got $12.91 billion of export income last year. Ngayon po, first quarter of 2021, ay lalong tumaas. Tumaas po ng 54% ang ating income, ang ating investment sa ating mga economic zones, and that shows has given their trust and confidence to the leadership of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Mahal na Pangulo, patuloy po ang pagmamahal namin sa inyo, kaya po nais namin na ituloy natin ang kapayapaan at kaunlaran sa inyo pong liderato. Maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat, DG Plaza, and thank you for sharing the good news. And it's good to know that the world is respecting the Philippines and looking at us. Acting Secretary, can you please take note of the report shared to us by DG Plaza? Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One of the most important actions taken by the President and the administration is the fight against the local communist insurgency in the country. Despite all the efforts of the government to talk with the, it seems that no direction will happen that way. And so the President, together with our armed forces of the Philippines, the Department of National Defense, the National Security Council, the Department of Interior and Local Government, and the local government units of the country, adopted the so-called LCAC, End Local Communist Armed Conflict. At this juncture, Mr. Chair, may I request the Chair to recognize some of our PDP-Laban stalwarts, starting with Governor Mick Petilla, to talk about the experience of the local government unit in the fight on insurgency in the province. And then here is with us Governor Archap, the province of Bohol. It's also another insurgency area before. And maybe perhaps Governor Ibardone of Eastern Samar, if he's still in the Zoom meeting, to talk later on. So may I ask the Chair to recognize first Governor Petilla, to be followed by Governor Archap, and then Governor Ibardone. But before that, Mr. Chair, may I acknowledge the presence.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Moderator, before you proceed, first I'd like to ask to Zoom and to acknowledge that we acknowledge Speaker Alan Lord Velasco, who is participating in this meeting via Zoom. So
Let's give a big hand to Speaker.
Secretariat, please zoom in Speaker Velasco. So anyway, if you're working on that yet, thank you, Speaker, for joining this National Council meeting of PDP. Moderator, yeah.
Mr. Chair, as I was saying, the PDP-Laban National Council meeting is joined by our PDP-Laban overseas chapters all over the world. And we have the PDP-Laban chapter of Qatar, Mr. President of the Council, Joseph Rivera. And we would like also to inform everyone, and we note the efforts of the PDP-Laban leadership to take care of our overseas Filipino workers. I understand that the Overseas Filipino Workers Act, creating the Department of FW, has already been passed in the House of Representatives. Let's give hands to our members of the House of Representatives under the leadership of Speaker Velasco, and our senators, especially Senator Bongo, Senator Bato de la Rosa, Senator Tolentino, and the other senators who are supportive of these efforts, Mr. Chair. So again, Mr. Chair, this juncture, may I ask for the Chair to recognize Governor Petilla.
Governor Petilla, you're hereby recognized.
Mr. Chair, maraming salamat sa ating mga secretaries, sa ating mga all the officers, no, mga present today, at saka yung mga kapartido ko. Siguro hindi ko lang mapaglipas yung pinakamalaking accomplishment ni President Duterte sa province of Leyte, kasi parang hindi na-mention kanina, no? Yung laban sa insurgency. On March 2019, merong nag-surrender dito ng mga 1,200 people, including 262 na mga regulars, no, regulars and militia ng bayan, parang gano'n. And then, a month later, nag-usap kami kung ano ang mga hinaing nila. And then, marami silang mga sinabi, yung water system daw nila, yung kahirapan nila, yung hanap buhay, at saka yung iba sa kanila kasi nakatira, squatters, karamihan sa kanila mga squatters sila doon sa isang hacienda, kaya nagkakagulo. So, yun yung mga hiningi nila. And one time after that, mabuti na lang na-approach ko si Senator Bongo to relay a message kay Presidente. And then, to cut the long story short, Kukoy, nagpapasalamat talaga kay Presidente kasi meron ng 262 houses na kinoconstruct ngayon dito sa Leyte para sa kanila. Joint kami with the province, ang lupa kami nag-provide. And then, ang tawag namin dyan, ang Peace and Prosperity Village. And then, kasama sa lupa nila yung garden lot, no? Garden para sa pagtatanim, pag-ano nila. And then, meron ng mga water systems na kinakabit din sa mga barangays na sakop sa sa conflict. So sa katapos-tapusan, in the end, ang Leyte po ay talagang totally insurgency free, na kahit yung commander nila dito sa Leyte, kasama namin sa LCAP, kasama namin sa provincial LCAP na mag-implement ng mga programs natin para doon sa mga conflict barangay. So kung tutuusin, wala talagang natira. Lahat ng mga na nagsumama sa insurgency on the part of the NPA, dito sa Leyte, talagang lahat sila talagang nandito na sa panig ng gobyerno. Again, hindi namin makakayanan ito. Pero with the avid support ng ating presidente, na pumunta pa doon sa San Isidro Leyte para bigyan, no, ng mga benepisyo ang ating mga former rebels, yung mga surrender. Sa ngayon po, maganda ang takbo ng ng buhay. Maraming mga anak nila ay nag-aaral na. Iniisa-isa na rin natin ang malnutrition. May report kanina si Secretary Nograles, no? Sec, by the way, ang province of Leyte from 25% malnutrition rate, we are down to 6%. 6% na lang. And then, yung food sufficiency ng province of Leyte despite of the pandemic, we are producing much more food than we can consume sa province of Leyte. Marami tayong nagre-rely din ng mga neighboring areas na dito rin kumukuha ng pagkain. So, siguro karamihan ng mga kababayan natin with the support din ng mga national agencies, no? Yung mga livelihood programs including sa ating mga former rebels, ang TESDA, of course, ang DTI, ang DSWD, ang DOLE, lahat yan, yung mga livelihood programs talagang binuhos dito ni President Duterte sa Leyte. Maraming nakinabang. So na-achieve natin ang food sufficiency, na-achieve natin ang insurgency free, at saka na-achieve din natin ang report din si Secretary Nograles kanina parte sa maternal mortality. Okay, ang maternal death, neonatal death, lahat yan, yung infant death, malnutrition rates, lahat yan na-accomplish natin ang Millennium at saka Sustainable Development Goals. And hindi yan mangyayari kung kami lang dito sa province. Definitely. Malaking talaga ang naitulong ni President na ako medyo natatouch talaga ako diyan kasi despite na originally hindi ako kapartido, alam niyo naman yan lahat, no? And then although PDP ako nung college ako, nung panahon ng martial law, I was with the PDP. So again, despite of that, tinulungan pa rin yung province of Leyte. So I think everybody ought to know sa ginawa ni Presidente dito sa amin. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Governor Pitilla. And we recognize, we duly take note of the report that you've shared, and I instruct the Secretariat to please incorporate that in our report. Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Chair, may I ask for Governor Archap to say a few words of his experience in the province of Bohol?
Yes, Governor Yap is hereby acknowledged, recognized.
Salamat, sir. Secretary Cusi, to Secretary Carlo Nograles, to Melvin Matibag, our Deputy Secretary General, to my good friend, former Congressman Jonas Cortez, my classmate, former classmates sa House, to all our national officials, local officials sa PDP-Laban. Maayong hapon ka natong tanan. A week ago, I attended the RPOC meeting in Dumaguete City, sir, where the President gave orders and gave the instruction that there will be no concessions, nor power sharing, nor any quarters given to the CTG. Within 24 hours, sir, we were on the ground. The 47th IB scored a victory against CTG forces. Out of 11 heavily wanted CTG members, we were able to deliver at least 5 dead from that 11 most wanted list. And I would like to thank the President for the support that he is giving us. And I'm writing the President on this issue, and at least letting him know that Bohol is doing its part against the LCAC, and we are also awaiting the support that he has committed to the province of Bohol. But all through the last 2 years, we are very much thanking him for all the guide the President for accepting in that meeting, sir, the proposal of Bohol that maybe we can start looking at reopening certain key tourism destinations so that we can do our part in economic recovery. Thailand is not concentrating on reopening the entire Thailand. They're concentrating only in Phuket. Indonesia is concentrating only in Bali. They're not concentrating on reopening the entire country of Indonesia to tourism. Maybe in our country, considering that there are some tourism destinations that are ready to really open up, kung pwedeng ma-advance lang natin yung vaccination sa mga lugar na to, baka matulungan na we can create a model for reopening certain destinations in our country so that through this, we can do our part. Mabuhat mi sa among parte na we will do our part in economic recovery efforts of our country. So nagpapasalamat po ako sa Presidente sa RPOC meeting when he accepted that proposal. And they are giving this consideration at the highest levels of government right now. So that just shows that the President is really, he is all over the place. To the extent humanly possible, he's really giving attention to each and every concern. Especially very sensitive siya sa mga request ng mga governors and mayors, being a former long-serving LGU head, no, local chief executive, damang-dama niya at saka naiintindihan niya yung mga pangangailangan at saka kung hanggang saan makatulong yung local governments, no? So we would like to thank the President for all of these efforts. And at this point in time, we wish him well from Bohol, and we wish all the cabinet and all the officials, especially the hardworking members of PDP-Laban. Bohol is supporting all of you, and at the right time, we are going to welcome you should you wish to come and visit us. And our prayers are and our support are with you. Daghang salamat, sir.
Daghang salamat, Governor Art, and nice to hear the success of LCAC under the leadership of our president in really fighting insurgency and to have peace in our country. Because alam naman natin, pag karoon ng katahimikan, mas maraming mag-i-invest at maraming mag-ninegosyo dito sa ating sa inyong lalawigan sa Bohol, at hindi lang po sa lalawigan ng Bohol but sa buong Pilipinas. So again, likewise, we would like the Secretariat to take note of and incorporate the report shared by Governor Yap.
Mr. Chair, at this juncture, considering that most of our members in the House of Representatives and the Senate will have their session in a few minutes, we can dispense with calling Governor Ibardone at this point in time, but later on, we are going to recognize him for some more words in the agenda. At this point, Mr. Chair, I am in possession of several manifesto of support. May I read this manifesto of support, Mr. Chair?
Please proceed.
PDP-Laban kaisa ng Pangulo para sa patuloy na pagbabago manifesto of support. Since 2016, the government under the able leadership of Party Chairman President Rodrigo Duterte has made great strides in its battle against scores of drugs, terrorism, insurgency, corruption, and poverty, etc. These are now being flashed on the screen, Mr. Chair, and I did not read the entirety of this manifesto of support. I just want to read the last part of the manifesto, Mr. Chair. We are confident that by continuing the economic programs and infrastructure projects established under the Duterte administration, our country's recovery from the crippling effects of the COVID-19 global pandemic. Mr. Chair, we ask members of the National Council to support this manifesto of support that emanated from different chapters. To national and local elections. At this juncture, may I ask the Acting Secretary General, Attorney Melvin Matibag, to please inform the body of the significant dates of the COMELEC Resolution 10695 and for discussion, Mr. Chair.
Yes, but before we acknowledge the acting section, I'd like to highlight the importance of these dates that we need to comply with, especially the those people that are running for an elective position. So we are taking this as a preparatory for the 2022 electoral exercises. So, acting section, can you please present to the body the dates?
Yes, Mr. Chair, with your permission. Please take note of the following dates based on the COMELEC Resolution number 10695. August 15, 2021 will be the last day of currently registered political party or coalition of political parties to submit sworn information update statement. So since it's a Sunday, the deadline will be August 16. September 1, 2021, holding of political conventions, parties to select and nominate official candidates for all elective positions. September 28, 2021, as amended by Section 13 in relation to Section 13. And on September 30 will be the last date to submit list of authorized signatories with specimen signatures from political parties and coalition. And on October 1 to 8 will be the filing of certificate of candidacy for all elective position and filing of certificate candidacy nomination and acceptance, Mr. Chair. Those are the dates that we should take note, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Acting Section. Any questions? If there is no questions on the dates mentioned, just again reiterate the importance of these dates. Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before we go to the next item of the agenda, may I ask the Chair to recognize Secretary Noel Belonco of the National Anti-Poverty Commission. May I request you, sir, to please join the to please come up the stage and join the presidential table. Please join us here at the chairman's table. The next item of the agenda is very important, Mr. Chair, which is the convening of the PDP-Laban National Assembly. Mr. Chair, the setting of the National Assembly is significant because, as we all know, we have already mentioned this, there are vacant positions in the party. And also, it is in the National Assembly that we have to select who would be our standard bearers in the forthcoming 2022 national election. It is for this reason that we are asking now the National Council, pursuant to the provision of the PDP-Laban Constitution and bylaws, to please set the date of the holding of the National Assembly, as well as the venue where we are going to hold this National Assembly in preparation for the 2022 elections. And if I may so state, Mr. Chair, the powers of the National Assembly pursuant to the provisions of Article 18, Section 3 of the PDP-Laban Constitution as follows. First, formulate and adopt policies, plans, programs of the party, as well as positions on various international and national issues. Approve, propose amendments to this party constitution. Nominate and proclaim the party's official candidates in the national elections. Revise, alter, modify, or repeal any resolution, decision, action taken by the National Council or by the National Executive Committee. Nominate and elect national officers and national committee chairmen of the party. There is a suggestion, Mr. Chair, that the National Council meeting also will hold its third quarter meeting this year, which will be held on July 16 this year in Luzon. And after that, we are going to listen to the various chair of the national committees for the report. So, Mr. Chair, the suggested date for the National Assembly will be on July 17 in Luzon, subject to IATF restrictions. Okay, so we're discussing here the date for the National Assembly. First, just to make it clear that the National Council meeting has to be done every quarter. So we're going to have our next National Council meeting on July 16. That is for the third quarter of this year. And thereafter, it is proposed that we have our National Assembly, where we are going to tackle the issues, the concerns that our moderator, Secretary Lambino, have already explained. So July 16 is the proposed National Council meeting, and July 17 the National Assembly. May I hear any reaction from the body? Before we recognize other members of the National Council, Chair, let us clarify that the holding of the National Council can only be called upon by the National Chairman. And so our suggested date of July 16 is subject to the approval of the National Chairman of the party, Mr. Chair. Of our official candidates in the 2022 election can only be held later on. So for purposes of the National Assembly, the planned National Assembly, the primary purpose of that, Mr. Chair, would be the election of party officers, Mr. Chair. Okay, any reaction from the body? So do I hear
There's a motion, seconded, any objection on the dates proposed that will be that is subject to the approval of the chairman, of the party's chairman. No objection. So the dates set will be presented to the chairman, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. At this juncture, Mr. Chair, may I ask again the chair to please recognize our acting Secretary General to discuss the reports of the chairman of the national committees of the party. First, acting Secretary, do we have any reports from the different national committees?
Mr. Chair, there is none as of now, so there was no submission from any committee.
Okay. May I know who are the chairpersons of the different committees?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Yusek Astrabel Naik is the chairperson of membership committee. Ms. Rupina Arcega, chairperson of education committee. Honorable Governor Antonio Co, chairperson of finance committee. Attorney Alberto Wilfredo Oxales Jr., chairperson of legal affairs and arbitration committee. Mr. Ronald Monsayak, public information committee chairperson. Yusek Ryan Esteves, chairperson of livelihood committee. And I was informed, Mr. Chair, that Attorney Kat Contacto was the chairperson of the Committee on Youth, which was submitted to the COMELEC in 2019 election CUs.
Thank you on that. For enumerating the names of the different committee chairs. And now, may I know what is the pleasure of the board, considering that we didn't, the secretariat or acting secretary has not received any report from the national committees.
Mr. Chair, may I ask the chair to please recognize Undersecretary Astrabel Naik?
Yes, Madam Astra, hereby recognized.
On behalf of the membership committee of the PDP-Laban, may I just like to report to the party, to the National Council meeting, that our party, from being a Volkswagen party, has become a really, really big and successful party, especially with the victory of President Duterte, our national chairman. So from having only two national leaders who were well known in the party as of present, Mr. Chairman, I would like to put it on record that we already have around 100,000 party members, subject to the completion of all the requirements as stated in the party constitution. And of course, we have the President of the Republic of the Philippines having brought into power due to the expansion of our membership. And with this, Mr. Chairman, I would like to bring also to the attention of the National Council that the Executive Committee made a resolution in 2017 about the membership fees. However, Mr. Chairman, this has not been subjected to the approval of the National Council. And for this purpose, Mr. Chairman, I would like to propose to the body that pending the National Assembly, we would like to peg for the meantime the national membership fees at 1,000 pesos each, and other dues that will be required from other members, political figures, incumbent officials shall be subjected to the approval of the National Council on the next meeting. So I move that we adopt the membership fees in the amount of 1,000 pesos for all the members.
You're proposing that we refer that to the National Assembly for approval.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
That's a motion.
I second the motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay, any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Another matter for the membership committee, Mr. Chair, in preparation also for our next National Council meeting and in preparation for the upcoming National Assembly, the committee hereby requests the authority from the National Council that the membership committee shall be the sole authority to handle the membership, the conduct of the basic membership seminars and basic membership orientation seminars, as well as determine who are the legitimate party members of the party. I so move, Mr. Chair.
So you're proposing that the committee be given the power to process. Can you please restate again
I move that the membership committee will be given the power and full authority to conduct basic membership seminars and basic orientation seminars and to process the completion of membership as stated in our party constitution and this shall be approved by the National Council so that we can be prepared also for the calling of the National Assembly.
Okay, so there is a request by the chair of the membership committee that the committee be given the power to process, conduct the educational requirement of prospective members and to approve, to accept or not to accept.
Mr. Chairman.
Any motion to approve the request of?
I second the motion.
There's a motion. Seconded. Any objection on the request of the committee?
Second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, before we approve the motion of USEC Astra, may I just clarify, as the Vice Chair of the Education Committee, National, Mr. the giving of the BOS?
Yes, of course, because the Education Committee shall be the one to provide the trainers that will conduct the basic membership orientation and basic membership seminars.
So in other words, Mr. Chair, the BOS will be conducted by the membership committee and the education committee.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So there is a motion, duly seconded, and the question of has been answered. Is approved.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Mr. Moderator, please.
There being no other chairman of the national committees, Mr. Chair, who are ready to report the respective committees, may I move that the National Council shall direct our national committees through their chairperson to render the respective reports on our next national council meeting. I so move, Mr. Chair.
So requiring all the other committees to render the report on the next council meeting. There is a motion. Seconded. Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved. Mr. Moderator.
We'll go to the other matters for discussion, Mr. Chair. This is the last item of the agenda. There are some pending issues and complaints, and at this juncture, I am
Just a second, Mr. Moderator. Regarding the financial status, regarding the financial status of the party, considering of the forthcoming 2022 election, let's require the chair is proposing that we require the treasurer to to render a report to the National Council the status of the health of the financial status of the party.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So, the Secretariat, please require our treasurer, the national treasurer, to render an account of the finances of the party.
We'll take note of that, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Moderator.
Let's now proceed, Mr. Chair, to the other matters. There are letters purportedly signed by some members of the National Executive Committee.
Yeah.
I think the chair is in receipt of this letter.
I am in receipt. I'd like to submit this to the National Committee. I'm in receipt of this National Executive Committee Resolution number 3, 2021, questioning my actions in various occasions where we initiated meetings with local party leaders in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, wherein at attendees passed a resolution urging leaders to run in 2022 election without the benefit of due process in accordance with the bylaws of PDP-Laban. What I'd like to do is give this to the Secretariat so that this can be addressed properly as part of our due process. So, Secretariat, Secjan, please, and that should be given to the committee that would investigate that accusation.
Mr. Chair, may I
Mr.
make this
Chair.
observation, Mr. Chair? Given the fact that earlier we have already approved this manifesto of support coming from the different chapters of PDP-Laban, coming from local government units, coming from different sectors. And I think that letter that you received from the National Executive Committee also refer to the same acts purportedly committed by the Vice Chairman when he went around the country. So the fact that the National Council has already unanimously approved this manifesto, I do believe, Mr. Chair, that whatever complaint the other party members relative to your actions in the past is already moot and academic, Mr. Chair. I just want to put that on record, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Acting Secretary.
Sir, incidentally, Mr. Chair, I also received a letter, actually a resolution from the provincial chapter of Bulacan, resolution number 2 asking for explanation from members of the PDP-Laban who are openly criticizing the administration, the president, and the chairman of the party. So I will await for the disposition. If I will refer it also to the proper committee, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, okay. I just want to add, or based on the resolution number 3 that I just handed to the section, that has to be referred to the National Council for proper disposition and has to be tabled in the next National Council meeting, which we have proposed to be on July 16. Okay, so Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Chair, at this juncture, one of our regional officers, Mr. Alonso Saclag of the Cordillera Administrative Region, who is also our regional president, is asking him to be recognized for matter of personal and collective privilege, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Mr. Saclang, you are hereby recognized.
Magandang hapon sa ating lahat. Mr. Chair, gusto ko pong batiin ang mga kasamahan natin na nasa sa Zoom at sa mga kasamahan natin na nandito. At gusto ko ding i-recognize ang isang gobernador sa amin na member din ng PDP-Laban, si Governor Ferdinand Tuban ng Kalinga. So nasa Zoom meeting, nasa Zoom po siya. Mr. Chairman, members of this National Council, I rise today to refer to this body the actuation of Mr. Ronald Munsayak, the chairman of our Public Information Committee. Nakita po natin na lahat yung banat niya sa Facebook ay masakit basahin at masakit pakinggan, kumbaga. Bilang isang anak ng partido PDP-Laban, ang ating lolo na, ang ating tatay nene ay namatay na. At alam ko na ayaw niya yung ganong kaguluhan sa ginawa niyang partido. Ano? So, ang tatay natin, ang ating chairman, na si President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Masakit po na isang tatay ng ilang libo na anak. Sabi ko kasi lahat tayo anak ng ating ama na President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Nasasaktan po ang aking loob sa mga banat ni Ronald Munsayak. Kung nakikita nyo, lahat siguro dito, yung mga pumasyal kay Ronald Munsayak sa kanyang opisina o kanyang tanggapan, For example, mga gobernador na pumupunta doon, mga mayors, kung minsan kasi po, Mr. Chairman, ay nandun ako ay tumatambay. So lagi niyang sinasabi sa mga ating kasamahan, kung may problemang kaunti, tignan natin. Pag may tinatanong ang mga kapartido natin, tignan natin. Dapat siya po ang tumutulong sa atin to connect sa mga ating leaders na nasa taas. So ang feeling ng ating mga kasamahan sa partido ay napabayaan na. Mas mabuti pa yung nasa ibang partido kasi nandun sila naaalalayan. At itong mga hinaing ng ating mga kasamahan ay hindi napapaabot dahil ang gusto ni Ronald Munsayak ay sinasanitize muna. Kung may problema yung isang member, hindi niya dinediretso na sinasabi kay Senator Coco o sa ating chairman. So gusto niya malinis muna. E paano yung mga problema hindi nakakarating? So ngayon nagkakaproblema tayo dahil sa ganong gawain. Napuno na po ako, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Munsayak, alias tignan natin, has openly come out in this media misinforming our members that this meeting was not sanctioned by our chairman. In fact, he has openly challenged our chairman by questioning the statement and confirmation made by no less than his spokesperson. Are we okay? Mr. Munsayak is guilty of conduct detrimental to the interest of our party by continuing to foment or provoking disunity and by causing intrigue and circulating divisive misinformation and aggravating this by using his PDP position as his platform. Mr. Chairman, therefore, Mr. Chairman and the members of this council, I move that we suspend Mr. Munsayak pending investigation, and if found guilty, Mr. Munsayak, Mr. Ronald Munsayak be expelled from the party. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
I object, Mr. Chair.
For acting on that, may I suggest that we adhere to the party's democratic process, and instead of acting on the motion by Mr. Saklang, I would like to suggest that we refer that to the proper body to look into it and then thereafter we can discuss that in the next council meeting. Mr. Saklang?
I submit to the wisdom of the chairman, but if I may, I would like to ask the National Council to direct Mr. Ronald Munsayak from making any further divisive statement. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Just the same, we will refer that to the National Council for their deliberation, for the deliberation of the body later in the next meeting. Thank you, Mr. Saklang, for understanding the position of the chair. Okay, so, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Given the fact that Mr. Saklag has adhered to the suggestion of the chair and withdrawn his earlier motion, we will now proceed to the next item of the agenda. I think this is the last part of our agenda. Again, Mr. Chair, I am in receipt of several petitions and resolutions emanating from the different local government units, different chapters all over the country. And may I read the title of these resolutions and manifesto coming from the different chapters of the party and from the different local government units all over the country. We have passed several resolutions, Mr. Chair. So these are just a few of the resolutions that we have received. And the text of this resolution read as follows. Resolution to convince the party chairman, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, to run for Vice President in the 2022 national elections. And for President Rodrigo Duterte to choose his running mate for president in the 2022 national elections. So these are resolutions that the council has received from different regions, from different chapters of the party, and from the different local government units. Elected officials of these LGUs who are not members of PDP-Laban but have come up with a resolution strongly urging the president to seriously consider running for vice president in 2022 national election, and for the president, Mayor Rodrigo Roa Duterte, to choose his running mate for president in the 2022 national election. As moderator of this National Council meeting, may I move, Mr. Chairman, that this National Council shall adopt a resolution following the early resolutions made by the different chapters and different local governments all over the country to convince the PDP-Laban party chairman, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, to run for vice president and to choose his running mate for president in the 2022 national election. I so move, Mr. Chair.
I second the motion, Mr. President. I second the motion, Mr. Chair.
Second na agad kayo. Bilis naman. Any objection? No objection. Motion is approved.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There being approval of this motion, of this resolution, I have a copy here of unsigned resolution of this National Council. May I ask the buyer of signing this resolution to be followed by the other members of the National Council in today's meeting, Mr. Chair. For those members of the National Council who are now in virtual meeting, participating in this gathering, we are going to send you a copy of this resolution for purposes of signing up also this resolution.
Please hand it to me so I can, with pleasure, sign that manifesto. Document ito.
Yeah.
Okay.
May we ask the other members of the National Council who are present here today to please come up the stage and affix your signature in the document. And while we are signing this document, Mr. Chair, may I ask that Governor Ben Ibardone of Eastern Samar be recognized?
Yes, Governor Ibardone, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Magandang hapon po sa atin lahat. The provincial chapter of the province of Eastern Samar has also adopted a similar resolution to that effect, Mr. Chairman. And on the issue of insurgency, I'd like to take this opportunity to ask the support of this of the body to pass a resolution urging the two houses of Congress to maintain and expand the LCAP funding, Mr. Chairman. Although at present, Eastern Samar is not a beneficiary of the LCAP funds for those cleared barangays, I firmly believe that these funds are very important in ensuring that our kababayans in the hinterlands will feel government presence and government services. So deleting or scrapping the LCAC funds will only bolster the insurgency problem in several areas of the country, Mr. Chairman. So I hope that our party will take a firm stand on this issue, because this is very vital in supporting President Duterte's efforts to end, finally, the insurgency in our country. I so move, Mr. Chairman, and seek the support of this body for the retention and, in fact, expansion and increase of the LCAC funds. These LCAC funds, Mr. Chairman, does not go to the LCAC secretariat or body. The funds go directly to the barangays for various developmental projects. So the disinformation campaign of the opposition that the LCAC funds will be abused, will be used by the LCAC body is misplaced. It has no basis, Mr. Chairman, because the funds will go directly to the barangays which have been cleared from insurgencies. Again, Mr. Chairman, I'm appealing and asking the support of this body to pass a resolution asking both houses of Congress to retain and expand and increase the LCAC funds. I so move, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Second the motion, Mr. Chairman. Second.
Second, Mr. Chairman. Second.
There is a Governor Ibardone to pass a resolution to support LCAP and its activities. So, do I hear several seconds also any objection? Hearing none, the motion is the governors, city mayors, or congressmen who are still with us in the Zoom meeting, if we still have some comments. And may I recognize also for Chairman who is present in this.
Mr. Chair.
Yes. Congresswoman, you're
Like to manifest that, Mr. Chair, that party may use my e-signature as part of that manifestation being signed right now.
There is a request of Congresswoman Yu, and she is authorizing us to use her e-signature to affix in that document we are signing. Okay. Adopts the acceptance of the e-signature for signing this resolution. Please state your name, sir. Governor Yu.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Governor Yu,
I would like to manifest also, Mr. Chair, for the support. to support the endorsement resolution to requesting the president to run for vice president, Mr. Chair.
Yes, thank you, Governor. And you can do that by signing the resolution that has just been adopted by the body. Thank you.
I see also Undersecretary Martin Dino.
Yeah, yung sa LCAP kasi there are only 820 barangays. And this project will assure na talagang yung for the first time, only this government ang yung mga naiwan sa laylayan for 52 years na ano sila ng NPA. Ngayon lang sila makakatanggap ng 20 million each. Kaya yan, tama yung sinabi kanina ni Governor Ebertoni na expand pa yan. Para naman maramdaman ng ating mga countryside. Tapos it is high time for us to do this. At kanina, yun lang, ano ko lang, lahat tayo magtrabaho. Kasi this is our time. Yung party build-up, yung kamukha ng sinabi kanina ng ating chairman ng membership, palagay ko, nandito tayo sa poder ngayon, palakihin natin ang partido para kahit na wala na tayo lahat dito, ay ang PDP-Laban ay mag-i-exist pa rin. Since 1982, puro struggle ang ginawa natin. At ngayon na nandito na tayo lahat. I hope na yung seminar BMS kasi yan ang yan ang puso ng partido na to. Ito lang ang partido na alam mo kung ano yung partidong sinadya. At ang request ko lang sa inyong lahat na exert all effort na palakihin natin ang partido down to barangay level. Yun lang, maraming salamat sa inyo.
Thank you, Undersecretary Martin Dino. Well taken, your suggestions. The leadership of the party will surely take your advice. At this juncture, Mr. Chair, we recognize also our new chairman of the Commission on Senior Citizens, one of the old guards of PDP-Laban, former PVDEC chairman, former mayor. Now he is a member of cabinet, Mr. Chair, Secretary Franklin Tejada.
Secretary Franklin, you are recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Secretary Raul. Well, I just came from Mindanao, Mr. Chairman, and all of us, all guards, are really happy of the initiative that this initiative that is being done. We are also falling behind and squarely supporting the efforts of the President to really consolidate. We just hope that since you may have received letters already, Mr. Chairman, especially to address the issues which may have certain legal implications, including what Yusek Dino is saying to consolidate and expand. We hope that you will consider all those legal issues so that we will move ahead even more. We congratulate the President, Mr. Chairman, as we congratulate you for doing this historical effort of supporting the choice of the President. God bless, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Secretary Franklin. We take note of your manifestation and expression, and thank you for your expression of support.
Mr. Chair, there being no other members who have signified their desire to speak, before we adjourn, may I take this opportunity, Mr. Chair, to ask the body to pass a resolution of commendation to Vice Chairman Energy Secretary Cusi for a job well done for convening the National Council meeting.
Salamat po, but more than anything else, the result, what matters.
At this juncture, I move for the adjournment of the National Council meeting, and then let's meet in the next National Council meeting on the call of
There's a
President.
motion to adjourn. Seconded, any objection? Hearing none, meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. Congrats.